Are you with me? And it's trying to come in for a landing, going around and around. And finally, I don't have anything else to say, so I just shut up and land that sucker. And as soon as I finished talking, he looked at me and said, "You don't have a plan, do you?" I said, "No, I don't have a plan." Then he said the words that changed my life. He said, "Growth is not an automatic process. You will not grow automatically. You will not get better automatically. It doesn't happen." You see, after we are born, the only thing that's automatic is that we die. That's automatic. You don't have to take a course on this. You don't have to go to a seminar. I mean, just hang long enough, you die, okay? It's automatic. Trust me on that. You don't have to work at it. But especially in things that are important in your life, things that are going to be seeds of success in your life, they are all uphill. They're uphill all the way. You can tell you're on the road to success. It's always uphill. It's never even. It's never down. It's always uphill. There's always intentionality. There is always effort. And so I started talking to my friends, and I began to ask them, okay, I've got to have a plan for growth. And so I went to my friends for the next 6 months. If I asked this question once, I asked it 500 times. I look at people and I'd say, I go to my friends, do you have a personal growth plan? And I got 500 no's. And all of a sudden it hit me. We go through life thinking that we automatically will improve. That was life-changing to me. So by my mid-20s, I developed my own personal growth plan. And I can tell you that 95% of everything I have in my life, 95% of what I know, everything that I know in leadership is as a result of one day I committed myself to daily work a personal growth plan in my life. And the law, this is an amazing law, because this law just says you have to be intentional in things that you need to do to be successful. Okay, James Allen. James Allen, in his book, As a Man Thinketh, said these words. He said, people are anxious to improve their circumstances, but they're not anxious to improve themselves. And they therefore remain bound. I'll repeat it, it's powerful. It's not mine, it's James Allen's. People are anxious to improve their circumstances, but they're not anxious to improve themselves, and so he said they remain bound. Why do they remain bound? Because they don't understand. You can't fix the outside, you've got to fix the inside. You can't control the outside, you've got to control the inside. You start on the inside, you grow first. You don't try to fix all the stuff around you and not fix yourself. You cannot travel without until you first travel within. That's a fact. And I run into people all the time. They want their problem solved. They want an easier way to success in business. And what they don't understand is that they're looking for gimmicks, they're looking for shortcuts, they're looking for secrets. I love the people that want to give you secrets to success. Dear God, help them. There are no secrets to success. It's so simple, it's so basic. I'll give it to you later. James Allen understood. By the way, I read that book when I was in the 7th grade. As a Man Thinketh. Classic, it's 72 pages. I read it every year. I have it memorized. Classic. You see, I grew up reading all the great success books because my father paid us. I'm the middle child. He paid the 3 of us. Our allowance was based on reading good books. Oh yeah, I know. All of my friends got paid an allowance for doing chores, and so when my dad said, Phil and Bob, these guys, they get paid to do chores. I think it's a good idea. How about paying me to do chores around the house? That's just a terrible idea. You see, I don't pay you to do chores because you're part of the family, and I don't pay you to be part of the family. So let me explain it this way, that by the time you were born, John, you already owed your mother for 9 months of ruined board. So shut up and take out the garbage, you know what I'm saying? And by the way, why would I pay you to take out the garbage unless I wanted you to grow up and be a garbage man? He said, I put my money where my values are. And we were required from the 7th grade on to read 30 minutes a day of required reading, of which he put the books in our hands. I can tell you, well, by the time my brother graduated from college, he was already a millionaire. By the time I was 28, I had the 10th largest nonprofit organization in the country. By the time my sister was 27, she ran a hospital. Listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very carefully. Not brilliant kids, not brilliant kids. Kids that were exposed at a very young age to all the success principles. I was reading Success Magazine. I was flying down to Rio 2 or 3 years ago in Success Magazine. They had the 25 most important books you can read to be successful. I thought, what a wonderful article, and I read it. And then I decided to go back and count the books of the 25 that I had read. 19 of the 25 books that you have to read to be successful, I had already read, devoured, underlined, studied by the time I graduated from high school. 19 of the 25. No wonder. No, it wasn't even a race, folks. It is, the fastest person doesn't win the race. It's the person who starts first. Speed is overrated. Getting started is underrated. Especially getting started first. And what my father did is my father understood that if I can put the good stuff in my kids' lives, and I tell you that because some of you are parents. I did that for my children. I now do that for my grandchildren. They're on a reading program. Of course they're on a reading program. I pay them. We talk about the books. So as a man thinketh by James Allen, I grew up every year. I read that book from 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th. And by the time I graduated from high school, I said, this is the book I need to read every year. It's only 72 pages. There's nothing to it. And now what am I saying? Here's what I'm saying. What are you doing right now to intentionally grow yourself? What are you doing today to truly get better? It's a huge question. And if I can walk off the stage, if I could walk off the stage and we could just interact, I would say to you, the most important thing that you can do, the most important thing you can do is when you leave this conference, is to get yourself on a personal growth plan. It changed my life. I'm still on a personal growth. I'm 66. I'm still on a personal growth plan. Law number 2. Law number 2. Okay. Law number 2. The law of the mirror. The law of the mirror says you must see value in yourself to add value to yourself. It's a huge law. In fact, it's so important I'm going to sit down and talk to you, okay? Let's just sit down together here. You've got to see value. When you look in the mirror, you've got to see value in yourself to add value to yourself. If you don't see much value in you, you won't put much time in you. You won't put much energy in you. You won't put much money in you. You won't bet on yourself. If you don't see much value in you won't bet on yourself. You know what? If you don't see much value in you, you'll want somebody else to bet on you. You'll want somebody else to sponsor you. This is a law on self-image. And the law on self-image basically says, as you see yourself, you'll place value on yourself, and as you see others, you'll place value on them. So if you have a low self-image, you won't put much into you. And if you have a low self-image, you won't put much into others. I know that for a fact. I see it all the time. I watch and I observe people. And one of the greatest things you can do is begin to see value in yourself. And one of the great things I love about Beachbody, one of the great things I love about this type of an organization is they begin to help you see that you have potential and that you can succeed. And I love it when one of the diamonds was saying, listen to me, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And all she was trying to do is just to kind of help you to understand that you're a person of worth and you're a person of potential. And if you see yourself as a person of worth, you'll bet on yourself. But if you don't see yourself as a person of worth, you won't bet on you. And what's sad is no one else will. Your self-image is the lid on your potential. And if you see yourself from a 1 to a 10 as a 4, you see yourself as below average. If this is my self-image right here, let me tell you something. My self-image will never allow. It will never allow me to get beyond who I think I am, what I think I can become. My self-image literally is the lid on my potential. It doesn't matter whether I'm at Beachbody or any other organization. My self-image is my lid, and my lid will not move until I lose my self-image. Now, my name's John, and I'm your friend. And trust me, I know what it is to develop people. We've trained 6 million of them in 175 countries. I understand this game very well. I understand it very well. And what I want you to hear from me now is the fact that you are selling yourself short. That you have better potential than what you realize, and you have greater worth than what you understand. And if you can hear anything about my message today, my message is that you were created. God created you for a purpose, with a purpose to be successful. And I want you to understand, that whatever number you've got on your life, that number is where you're going to, if you got a 6 on your life, can I tell you something? You're going to do 5 work. You're not going to do 7 work. You're not going to do 8 work. You're not going to, you know, if you've got a 6 self-image, listen to me very carefully. The most important thing you can do in your life to grow is to lift your own self-image lid. Now, how do you do that? Number 1, you lift your own self-image lid when every day you add value to somebody. When every day you add value to someone else, you begin to lift your self-image lid. Trust me on this, it's a fact. Every day I wake up and I ask myself a very simple question. I mean, I've done this for years. Every day I wake up and I ask myself this question: what can I do to add value to people? And who can I add value to? Every day I intentionally ask myself that question. And every day I purposefully, intentionally add value to someone. When I was having breakfast at my hotel this morning, there was an individual that I had seen every morning, and so I went over and introduced myself and asked them for 5 minutes of their time. And I just sat down and I shared with them that I had watched them as they walked around the people, and they had a good presence about them. And I just told them, I just wanted to know how much they'd add value to me every time I came down for breakfast. They just had a smile, and I just poured myself into this young lady for 5 minutes. She walked away. I could tell. Well, I was adding value. I mean, you'll increase your self-image when you give yourself away. You see, Robert Louis Stevenson said, "I determine success by how many seeds I sow daily." He said, "It's the seeds I sow daily, not the harvest I reap." Most people, they're looking for the harvest, and I'm telling you today, forget the harvest. Just start sowing seeds. Just start adding value. I've done it for many, many years. I understand. There's a huge return. But if you just sow seeds, if you just add value every day, it'll do something that will unbelievably add value to you. And it will increase your self-image. Let me tell you something else will increase your self-image. Every day, do the right thing, even though it's the hard thing. I've observed and I've watched people that have a good self-image. They don't cave. They don't follow peer pressure. They make their own decisions, and they make the right decisions, even when it's the hard decisions. They don't back away from them. Wow. Your self-image will so greatly determine your growth. Law number 3. Before I give you law number 3, let me ask you a question. Are you learning something? Then we'll continue. Look at your neighbor and say, "Are you learning something?" Ask your neighbor, "Are you learning something?" Look right back at him and say, "Not enough yet." Dear God, you only had 2 laws. There are a whole 13 out there you don't even have a clue about. You can't write fast enough. Yeah, buy the book. I go fast. I don't expect you to keep up. It's not my first rodeo. Law number three is the law of awareness. The law of awareness says you must know yourself to grow yourself. Oh my gosh. If you're really going to grow you've got to know you. You've got to know yourself to grow yourself. You see, if you and I could have this personal conversation, one of the things I would ask you, what are your strengths? You see, every one of you in the auditorium, you have, 2, maybe 3, probably not, but could be 4 strengths. 4 is a little heavy, probably 2 or 3 is your number. Okay? 3 is my number. I thought it was 4. Margaret and I were having breakfast the other day talking about it, and she said, no, it's 3. I figured, then I'll be 2, then I'll be 1, and then they just bury it, okay? But you have a strength. And one of the questions I would ask you if you and I were talking is I would ask you, let's talk about your strength. Now I'm talking now about giftedness. I'm talking now about ability. I'm talking about how you are wired. This is not something that you chose. This is you. This is in your DNA. You have a strength. I have it. And what I'm saying to you is, in this area, you've got to know yourself to grow yourself. One of the things I want you to understand is you have to know what your strengths are. Because whatever your strengths are, that's what you want to grow. In the area of abilities, listen carefully to me, in the area of your abilities, you have to work on your strengths, not your weaknesses. Most people, because of our culture, they work on their weaknesses. When you're in school, if you got an A in math, you got a C in English, what do they tell you to work on? They told you to work on your what? English. Get that grade up, get that C, get that up to a B, work on that weakness. I'm saying if you got an A in math and a C on English, work on your math. Forget your English. You were probably lucky to get a C. Teacher probably liked you, bumped you up a grade. Now, why did you get an A in math and a C in English? Because you have a math mind, not a word mind, not a language mind. It's not dumb, it's not right or wrong, it's just who you are. Your strength is math, it's not English. And see, all in your life, you and I have been taught to work on our weaknesses. And I'm here to say, don't work on your weaknesses. And you say, John, why shouldn't I work on my weaknesses? It's because you're weak. And your weaknesses. In other words, again, my name's John, I'm your friend. You're not any good at that area. I'm here to set you free. You can only increase a gift or an ability 2 numbers. Not 10, folks. 2. So let's say I'm below average. I'm a 3 of something, okay? And I say, okay, I'm going to really work on this because I'm really below average, and so I work hard. And so let's say, for example, I love music. There's no problem. I can't sing. But I love music. So I said, well, I want to be a great singer. I would just love to be hey, I'm in Vegas. Hello? I'd like to sing. So what do? I'm not good at it. I'm a 3. So I get a teacher. And I take music appreciation. And I pour money and time and effort. And for the next 2 years, I take all this music stuff. And can I tell you, 2 years after that, maybe I went from a 3 to a 4. And can I tell you, I'm still below average. Now listen to me very carefully. This is very important. People don't pay for average. People don't pay for, and I'm absolutely amazed at how many people love average. I mean, I just look at it and I say, why are you so in love with average? Average is average, and everyone is average. And do you want to be everyone? And do you just want to be average all your life? It's just average, and average is never going to be success. Nobody gets excited about average. You don't get excited about average. You don't say, man, I just love that TV show. It's so average. Let's go. Oh, dear God. We're in Vegas. I heard there was a concert down there that was just really average. You don't stand in line for average. You don't pay for average. You don't look at your friend, after you both worked hard, and said, hey, let's go out to dinner. Hey, let's find an average restaurant. And you don't go to the average restaurant. When they start to see it, you say, oh, we just want an average table. I know there's the ones over there when there's the water in the lake. I know we don't want that. We want an average, just an average table. And when the waiter comes, we don't look and say, are you average? We would like to have an average. We don't want, if you're good, we don't want you. We'd like you. Do you like take the order and then not tell it to the kitchen? And then we remind you 30 minutes later we haven't had our food, and you say, oops, and then you bring their own food back, because we like that too. And by the way, when we were talking about the menu, what do you have that's average here? We don't want to know what your specialty is. Do you have something nobody's ordered today? Now you don't go sit at an average table, have an average meal with an average waiter in an average restaurant, and walk out of that place and you look at that friend and you say, I am pumped, but we must come back here. No. Listen to me, folks. People don't pay for average. And if you work on your weaknesses in the area of abilities, you'll only be average. But let's say you're a 7, maybe you're above average in something, and so now this is a strength of yours, and so you work on it, and you can go from a 7 to an 8. You could even get to be a 9. Can I tell you something? When you get in that top 20%, when you get 9 and 10, people stand in line for 9s. They pay for 9s all day. And you see, if you work on your strengths, in the area of your abilities and your giftedness, you'll really grow and you'll do really well and you'll be very successful. So when you get your growth plan together, when you say, okay, I want to start growing, you got to grow in the area of your strengths. You got to grow in the areas that you're good at. I'm good at communication, I'm good at leadership, and I'm good at creativity. Those are my 3 strengths. And I spend all my time growing in those areas. I don't spend time on other things, and abilities and gifts I don't have. Why would I do that? I'm not going to be any good at it at all. I love to play golf. But I'm not like a 12 handicap. I'm not a really good golfer. But I love to play. But I'm never going to be a scratch golfer. Like when I play golf with a guy and he hits a bad shot and he kind of gets mad, I look at him and say, excuse me, you're getting a little upset here. Do you do this for a living? No. I said, thank God. Not any good. Your problem is you're too close to the ball after you hit it. If you didn't get that, you don't belong here. Now, I said, work on your strengths in the area of your abilities. You heard that, didn't you? Now let me tell you what you work on. You said, should I work on your weak areas? Yes, let me tell you where you work on your weaknesses. In areas of choices. In areas of choices, work on your weaknesses. In areas of ability, which is not your choice, it's just who you are, work on your strengths. So you say, what's a choice? Well, discipline is a choice. If you're not a disciplined person, you better work on it real strong. Because you can't be successful in this business if you're not disciplined. Attitude, that's a choice. Of course it's a choice. Now let me tell you, in areas that are not choice, in areas of strengths like gifts and abilities I talked to you about, in areas that are not choices, the growth is incremental, it's slow, and it's not large. It's 2 numbers. In areas of choices, the growth is fast and it's exponential. You can go, literally, in areas of choices, you can go from a 1 to a 10 because it's a choice. If you're not disciplined, one day you say, I can't be a success in this business. I'm listening to all these diamonds. They're disciplined people. I'm an undisciplined person. I've got to get disciplined to be good at this business. Now that's a choice. You can be a 1 today, and in 3 months you can be a 10. You see, in areas of choices, growth is dramatic, growth is fast. In areas that are not choices, growth is slow, it's incremental, and it's not big. So in areas of weaknesses, you work on those in choices. In areas of strength, such as abilities, you work on those. And that, see, you've got to know yourself to grow yourself. So, you don't want to work on everything, because you can work on some things and never get any better. I told you a little bit earlier, I play golf, and I love to play golf, but I'm not really good at golf. And I love these people who say, well, you practice more. You know, the practice, I love the expression, practice makes perfect, practice makes perfect. What idiot said that? Can I tell you something? If you're not gifted in an area and you practice, it doesn't make you perfect. Practice makes permanent. In other words, if I practice my golf swing, it just means that my slice always goes, the ball goes in the same part of the woods every time. Work on your strengths in the area of ability. Work on your weaknesses in the area of choices. You must know yourself to grow yourself. That's the law of awareness. Let me give you law number 4. Law number 4 is the most important law to me, maybe not to you, of all the 15 laws of growth. I awarded this law than the other law, so I want to make sure I taught this today. It's the law of consistency. And the law of consistency says that motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. That motivation is what you come here, you come to your conference here, your Beachbody conference, and you hear all these speakers and you see what they've done, and you say, boy, I want to be just like them, and I want to be successful, I want to help people, I want to do well. You get motivated. It has nothing to do with your success when you get home. You do understand that, don't you? That wears off in about 2 days. And you say, wow, I was really going to work on this business, but it feels good today as I did yesterday. Woo! Wow. Boy, they need to call another conference. This annual stuff isn't enough. Dear God, we need to do this weekly. We need to have a weekly. I just need a weekly pump up. Whoa, 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 whoa. By the way, I'm a motivational teacher, not a motivational speaker. Motivational speakers make you feel good, but the next day you don't know why. You just walk around and say, "Ooh, I feel good. Woo, I feel good. I have no clue. Don't know what to do." You see, a motivational teacher, they make you feel good, but the next day you know why. If the stuff you are writing down now, if you just take this 3 days from now, it works just as good as it does right today. Trust me, folks. I determined a long time ago I wanted people to enjoy what I said, but I was going to make sure that I said something that could change their life. And the law of consistency will change your life. Now we overlook this law. The reason we overlook this law is because it's not sexy. I mean, consistency. I mean, if somebody said, "Can I just sit down in a moment and let's just have lunch?" I just look up to you so much, and you've taught me so many things, and there are so many things that are wonderful about you. Can I just talk about you and how wonderful you are? Just start talking about it. Yeah, I have time. Take 4 or 5 hours. Go through it. But just think how disappointed you are when they start to talk about how wonderful you are, and the first thing comes out of their mouth is, the thing I love about you is you are so